At the training event held by Ducati yesterday in Portimao, it can be seen that the living legend Valentino Rossi is at the pit. Not only did he come to pit, it turned out that Valentino Rossi also took to the track using the very iconic Yamaha R1MG YTR. On that day, Rossi tried out the Portimao circuit with his students who are members of the VR46 Academy. It wasn't just the VR46 Academy who trained on the Portugal circuit. The Marquez duo, together with the Gresini racing team, also took part in training during that session. Apart from MotoGP riders, WSBK riders also held free training there. However, we don't see any other MotoGP riders apart from riders using Ducatis. Examples such as riders from KTM, Aprilia, and Yamaha MotoGP are not visible. Only Valentino Rossi took part in this event, maybe because he is the brand ambassador of Yamaha. For the first time, Rossi was seen on the same track as Marq Marquez after he decided to retire. At the end of the 2021 season, we all know that Rossi's rivalry with Marquez is very high. We have seen from several past events, such as the Sepang clash, and the incident at Termas de Rio Hondo that shows that Rossi and Marquez are eternal enemies. Yesterday's test results. Rossi was in 30th place with a time of more than 1 minute 40 seconds. Meanwhile, the top rank is occupied by Nicolo Baliga with a time of under 1 minute 40 seconds. Unfortunately, Marq Marquez and Alex Marquez did not install a transponder, which meant their time was not recorded by the circuit system. MotoGP experts revealed that this was one of the strategies of Marq Marquez and Alex Marquez to keep their developments on Ducati motorbikes a secret. During the training session, Frankie also experienced a big crash, so the training session had to be stopped. However, after Frankie was taken to Faro Hospital, Frankie was deemed to be fine. However, he had to stay for several days for further health checks. The Ducati riders were sent for physical training before they carried out preseason tests in Sepang, Malaysia. The Sepang test itself will be held from the 6th to the 8th of February 2024. All teams and riders will test in that session to test their prototype motorbikes for the 2024 season. At the preseason test event, Fabio Quartararo and Alex Rins were required to take part. Even though Yamaha MotoGP had not yet launched their 2024 team because Yamaha has received a concession in 2024 from Dorna, Fabio and Rins will also carry out more tests, such as the shakedown test with the Yamaha M1. Apart from Yamaha, Honda will also get the same opportunity as Yamaha, because Honda has also received concession rights for the 2024 season. Previously, it was very difficult for these two Japanese teams to win and compete with European manufacturers. Let's see, will Yamaha change its engine configuration to V4? Or will stick with inline 4? Because during the 2023 season, Yamaha is experiencing many problems with acceleration, and Yamaha is still the only manufacturer that uses an engine with an inline-4 configuration. Basically, an inline-4 engine is very simple and doesn't take up too much space. However, in terms of torque, the inline-4 is still inferior to the V4 engine configuration. Meanwhile, Honda will probably focus on developing the latest chassis and new aerodynamics, because in 2024 Honda has entered into a contract with Luca Marini and Joan Mir. Luca Marini has a fairly tall stature, and Marini's racing style is very different from Marq Marquez. Honda will definitely make big changes to its motorbike, starting from the wheelbase, chassis, suspension, aerodynamics, and perhaps the engine. Apart from the Ducati riders, The no Ducati Moto rider who attended the training session in Portimao yesterday was Luca Marini. He practiced using a Honda CB R1000 RRR, apart from Japanese manufacturers getting concessions this year. MotoGP is also eagerly awaited because of the arrival of Moto to world champion Pedro Acosta. Pedro Acosta will defend the Gascas team with Augusto Fernandez. Many people are betting that Pedro will be competitive in his first season in MotoGP. But I think Pedro will need time to adapt to the KTM motorbike, because KTM has fast motorbikes. Except that Pedro Acosta is a new legend in the same class as Marq Marquez, apart from MotoGP riders who are under team contracts. The test rider will also be present in the preseason training session in Sepang, Malaysia. Donnie and Paul will certainly be present to take part in the motorbike test from the KTM manufacturer. As we know, Paul was kicked out of the Gascas team because KTM had a new rider. But Paul is placed in a chair that is no less important for a team: the test rider seat, which last year was only filled by Donnie. Apart from the KTM test rider, Cal Crutchlow is also rumored to be taking part in the preseason test in Sepang, Malaysia. Cal will also get more opportunities to test the Yamaha M1, because Yamaha received concessions this season. It is also recorded that the Ducati rider test will take place in this session to test the latest parts for the Ducati Desmo 24. It is not yet known what new parts will be used by Ducati in 2024, because at the launch of the Ducati Lenovo team, it appeared that their motorbike was not much different from last year's motorbike, which became world champion in the Aprilia team. Lorenzo Savadori is also reported to be taking part in the preseason test session to test the newest motorbike from Aprilia. The next news comes from KTM. In the latest news, Jack Miller is forced to fight to maintain his contract for the main seat at KTM, because in 2025 KTM has been rejected by Dorna for additional racer seats. Previously, KTM asked Dorna to field 5 racers on their team, but Dorna rejected this request for various reasons. Therefore, in the 2024 season, Jack Miller's position, which is currently in the highest seat, must be contested, because the prediction is that KTM Pedro Acosta will be immediately competitive in its second year in the MotoGP class, the same as Acosta's career during Moto2, where he won the world champion title in his second year with KTM. But despite all these predictions, Marq Marquez's name is also on the list of riders targeted by KTM, because Marquez only has a 1-year contract with Gresini. Not only Marq Marquez, all riders in MotoGP apart from Brad Binder will have their contracts expire at the end of 2024. So the rider market in 2025 is very difficult to predict. That's the news about MotoGP that we can convey today. Hopefully this is useful, and thanks for watching.